Hi, everyone. This is Madeline Charles, your host for the Irresistible Woman series. We have a special guest today, Cheryl Besner. Before we chat with Cheryl, I'd like to share a little bit about this event in case you're listening for the first time. Myself, along with a panel of awesome experts, are sharing how to attract lasting love this year with confidence and ease. I suggest listening to each interview to get the most out of this free event. Every morning, we will send you an email with a link to the interviews of the day, so watch for those. After going through a divorce, Cheryl Besner decided to leap into the HR, heart relations industry. First came her blog, 365 Days to Find Love, in 2012, all about flying solo at the age of 50. The same year, Cheryl became a certified coach. In March of 2015, Cheryl launched her acclaimed radio show, Solo in the City, on CJAD 800 on the iHeart Canadian Radio Network. The show took the #1 spot on Saturday nights, offering insights and advice about relating, dating, and mating. Cheryl is a respected authority on relationships and is a popular guest appearing on many television networks and social media platforms. Recently, she was featured as the dating coach on Global National, The Morning Show. Cheryl is also a professional speaker and currently hosts her signature Get Up to Date on Life retreats. These talks help you make a pact with yourself to make a real impact on your future. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Madeline, for having me. Hi, listeners.
So I wanted to start us off. I mean, you do so many great things, and so I'm curious to see where this conversation takes us. But I know you have a body talk method for dating and relationships.
I do. Well, body talk is well, you're 100% right. It's about personal and within our relationship. So body talk is basically what most people don't realize is that our bodies talk to us. And it's usually the people, sadly to say, who find themselves ill at some stage of their life that realize that they had signs that they didn't listen to long before they had their illnesses. So what I try to do with all my coaching clients and people who attend my workshops and retreats is really get you in touch with your body and go and allow your body to talk to you. You know, we call it the GPS actually, and it's gut, primal, senses. That's my GPS. And so often things happen in our lives where we sit there and say, oh, I knew that was the wrong thing for me to do, but I did it anyway. And my question is, why? Like, you're not listening to your body. Your body is telling you what it needs. It tells you when to sleep. It tells you when you have to be fed or drink. It tells you the same thing when it comes to your emotions and your decision making. We just don't always listen to what it's telling us.
Oh my gosh, I completely agree. That is brilliant. I love that GPS.
The GPS, gut primal sense.
Perfect. So how could someone tap into their GPS when they're dating and trying to assess if this person is a good match?
Well, first of all, I mean, you tapping into your GPS should be done long before you start dating, right? I mean, we should know who we are, our own basic instinct, and be able to talk to ourselves before we go into the dating world, because we have to know who we are before we know who is the right type of partner for us. But when you meet somebody, often, first of all, we have a pattern in the type of people that we choose to date. And a lot of that happens because of our history and the way we were brought up and the things we were, starting to believe about ourselves from a very young age. And those are limited beliefs that we bring forward. So sometimes we have to not necessarily go to what our head is telling us, but really to go what our gut is telling us, what our heart is telling us. And we don't listen enough to our heart at times. Sometimes we go with our head, and our head is saying, well, for instance, I like the bad boy. I like being fun and adventurous. Well, that may be great, but is that suiting you well when it comes to your relationship world? And same thing, if it's always somebody that you're choosing, a lot of people choose people who are in relationships already. Well, how is that suiting you? And it's always going back and looking at the past that will sometimes help you really understand about going inside And your gut has to be telling you when you're meeting somebody who is consistently the same type of person and it doesn't work. No. But your head is going, yeah, but this is fun. Like, let's go for it. So it's about listening and listening to what it is. See, what people focus on is what they want. And wants are not necessarily what we need. They are actually sometimes the destruction of what it is that we really need in our lives.
Ooh, that's good. I hope everyone just picked up on that really important distinction.
There's a huge distinction there, need versus want. And, when we're little girls or little boys, we want, well, not everybody, and especially in this day and age, it's not necessarily the same, but, in my generation, everybody wanted to be, the princess swept off your feet by the knight in shining armor and run off into the sunset. That's not necessarily what you need. Sometimes you need to be the knight in shining armor and sweep somebody else off to make you feel that you're contributing and that's what you need in your life, So I can tell you that I'm sure that, especially since my divorce 8 years ago and now, I had a lot of different wants in my life, but my needs kept changing. And when I say it kept changing, it doesn't mean that they actually kept changing. It means I started to listen to my body, and my needs actually were always the same. My need is one of the reasons that I ended up divorced, was because I knew what I really needed, but I kept kind of saying, okay, but this is fun, and this is the way I like to live my life, and this is the lifestyle I want. But now I'm in a position where now I know that I'm in a relationship that I needed to be in, because I've learned my lessons from continuously kind of going back to the same pattern. But because of the coaching and because of what I've gone through in my transition, I realized that every step was a lesson for me to really go back to, well, do I need this? And the answer was, no, I don't need this. I need something else. And I'm going to get what I really need, not just what I think I want.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. And it sounds like, yeah, you allowed that evolution over time to get really clear on, like, at this stage of my life now.
That's right. And I'm still doing it
for me.
And that's what I do with the women when they come to my retreats. Is my constant question is, okay, what do you want? Okay, now what do you really need? If you ask somebody, what do you really want? We'll bring it down to, let's say, a financial thing. What do you really want to feel comfortable to retire? Oh, I want, $5 million. I'm just throwing numbers out there. But what do you really need to live happily? Are you willing to sacrifice what you need, what you have to do to end up with that kind of money? Or do you really need the love and the caring and the affection and the connection to somebody else? Will you take less? So it's about finding out. And I think society in general is starting to switch. And the needs, and I see it also, and Madeline, I know that you're much younger and you're a millennial. I think that you have it right in the sense that the millennials that I do work with, and I've interviewed thousands of millennials, and I've done shows with millennials, and they've come to my retreats. I have the same amount of 25 to 35-year-olds at my retreats as I will have 55 to 65-year-olds, and the one thing I realize is the attachment to things, items, are not what they once were. It's not about the white picket fence. It's a different type of connection that you're making. But I don't think, I think it's all about, the quick change. And that's why, for instance, in the fashion world, the Zaras and places like that have become so popular, is because you don't attach to something. It's okay. It's new. It's fresh. I want something new. I want something fresh. And that has its advantages. So you don't get attached to things as much. You get attached to people and communication more.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I see that as well. That's a great point. Um, and so this conversation has me wondering because I know you have, you talk about being your own matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And does what we're talking about play into that process, or what does that look like?
Well, being your own matchmaker is I take my clients that come to be your own matchmaker retreat. It's a little bit different. It goes through a process, and the first thing that I do that I show people how to do is how to find your lifestyles, values, and goals. And that's the first step of a matchmaker. When somebody comes into your office, you sit down and you find out what their lifestyle, values, and goals are, because those three things have to match with your partner. And notice how I said lifestyles, values, and goals. I didn't say financial background. And even though some people go, well, that's lifestyle. Well, to me, lifestyle means, family is important to you. You are an early riser and you like to go to bed late. You love being cultural. That's lifestyle. Like, how do you like to live your life? In what style do you like to live it? And then it's about understanding and being competent in the dating world. So learning all the different aspects of how to date in 2019 and how to use technology to your advantage. Everybody is online and we're using technology to communicate. Well, that's great. I mean, it's opened up so many doors and so many relationships start online, but you have to know how to use it. And you could spend, most people who say, I don't like being online, it's because they don't know how to use it properly. They don't know how to get off the screen and to the date. They have pen pals. You don't want a pen pal. You're on there to meet somebody. So meet somebody, sounds interesting, go on a date. Like, get there already. So and well, I mean, I have so many people that I work with that say, well, I have to get to know them. Yeah, you get to know them when you meet them. This back and forth. It's, I like your profile, you like mine. Let's have a conversation. Then here's the technology that they miss out on. We have Facebook. So we have FaceTime. We have Skype. We have WhatsApp. Use your technology and see the person before you meet the person. This way you eliminate the Pinocchio syndrome. So, and by the way, you possibly can eliminate to a certain extent ghosting. Pinocchio syndrome means that you're not meeting, the person isn't actually who they say they are, or they don't look exactly who they perceive or put out there for you. And ghosting means that you're in communication and they just disappear. So that means you're going on a date and they never show up. In this particular case, the minute you have visual contact with somebody, the likelihood of them just not showing up on the date is less. If they're going to ghost you, just not show up and disappear, they will do that by not showing up on the video. And they can't hide who they are, meaning that their picture is 15 years ago. And in some cases, I've had clients who have said to me, well, it was 15 years and 150 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you want to know who the person is and they are properly represented, FaceTime them, Skype them, WhatsApp them. You've got technology. Come on, people, use it smart.
I love that. I really, really love that. How do you suggest a woman initiate that, that invitation?
Well, what do you mean exactly?
So if you're chatting with someone online, you want to move it to a FaceTime interaction.
Well, everybody has their own way of doing things. So I'm a very, the way I personally would do it would be like, you know what? I love eye-to-eye contact. How about we hop on a FaceTime? I'd love to be able to have eye contact with you. How about we do that? And everybody can do it in their own way. If you're a comedian, you can add, your comedic thing like to it. If you're very shy, you can say, you know what, I always find it easier if I'm going to meet somebody to at least have some contact. How about we do a Skype call first? There's ways to do it that are comfortable for you. I talk about all the time personal branding. Even in your communication, you should have your personal brand. Your personality should come out. They should see who you are. And don't be afraid to put it out there. If you want to speak to that person face to face, then say it, because you have to be able to ask for the things that you want within the relationships that you are going to cultivate. So
yes. I love that, because I could hear some women in my head as you're sharing that saying like, I don't want to take the initiative. I don't want to put myself out there,
But yeah, but what, usually though, it's so interesting for me is, and I know this sounds harsh, but those are usually the women who are telling me, I'm very confident, I'm very outgoing, but they don't want to take the initiative. Well, why? You take it in your work, you take it in your boardroom, you take it in your family life. Why are you changing who you are when it comes to the relationship? Things have changed, and I'm not saying that you have to be the one to invite them out, but this is about not wasting your time. Like I want to put a spin on it and say, this is how you eliminate wasting your time and getting fed up of online dating. This is how you eliminate getting stood up. This is how you eliminate the Pinocchio syndrome. Take the matters into your hand, because, and there's nothing wrong. You're planning a date with this person. Go for it. Really have enjoyed communicating with you. Don't you think it's time to meet?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say yes, well, then you're on the same page. If they say no, good riddance. Go. When we go back to talking about, this is all in context of be your own matchmaker. One of the things that matchmakers do is we vet. And that means we ask the questions to come to a final resolution as to whether or not this is a good match. So the hardest thing that you're going to do is vet your own dates, because otherwise you're going to waste a lot of your time and you're going to burn yourself out. Date smart.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to say it again. So date smart, ladies.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask, when do you think is, an appropriate time if you are considering meeting someone in real life, just to make sure that you're on the same page around the lifestyle value goals that you discuss, maybe around like marriage or children or some of those bigger topics?
Well, it depends, first of all, how you're meeting. And I think there's an evolution. And I do think that we should take opportunities in life just to meet people, and our lives become more enriched with the more people that we meet. And I will tell you that, when I became single, I found myself in after 25 years of marriage, I went into the dating world, and I decided that I was going to write 365 Days to Find Love, and that I was going to put myself out there and really explore. I met so many interesting people, and I designated certain days of the week, and I would create my own speed dating events where I would go out and have 3 dates in the same day, because once I was taking time to block out 45 minutes to meet somebody, take the time to get to a location, get dressed, put myself together, I would sometimes weekly back on that day, 3 dates, one after another. And I think that that's something that when I talk about it with my clients, they tend to giggle about it or go, seriously? And when they try it, they go, wow, best piece of advice. Because otherwise you're spending 3 days during the week getting ready for 3 different dates, and why? So, take some time. You have to block off, 3.5 hours, and then just put it out there. But I think, it's all about finding a rhythm that works for you.
Mm-hmm. I just love your whole approach, Cheryl. Like everything you're sharing, it really feels like, it's putting the woman in the driver's seat and really stepping up of like, this is what I want. My time is precious. My energy is precious. I'm not just going to be at the whim of hoping that someone takes the initiative and, comes through. I'm going to take the steps to bring this into my life.
That's just it. And I think it's about taking the steps, as you said, quote unquote, to bring this into my life. And it's very important that we distinguish between chasing somebody and looking desperate versus this is what I want in my life and I'm going to have it and I deserve it. And you know what? The person who comes into my life is going to be really lucky because I'm going to give it my all because this is really important to me. I want to share my life with somebody. So taking that initiative, and there's even great sites. I mean, when you think about it, like Bumble, I work with a lot of my clients on Bumble. That's a site specifically for the woman to take the initiative because the first reach comes from the woman and it's totally acceptable. And every man on there knows that it's going to be from the woman. So if you want to have a conversation with somebody, it's up to you to make it. And here's the thing, Madeline, women often think that men are in the driver's seat. Oh, it's all up to the men get to decide. Not true. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, Madeline. You and I haven't discussed this. But here's the thing. I want to just set up a fast scenario. A group of women go out. You're sitting in a restaurant or, you're in a bar, let's say, or you're in a workout class. And you're sitting with a couple of your girlfriends or a group of women. And you see a man at the other end of the room, whatever room you're in. That man is not going to approach you unless you give him a signal. He's waiting for that green light. You are in control. Women are more in control of every relationship that they have than they give themselves credit for or that they realize. If you realize that you're the one to give that green light, they still have to get up. They still have to cross the room. They still have to approach you. And then, if you're not interested and you had just glanced at them and smiled because, you locked eyes for a second and you smiled, and you refuse them, there you have to do the walk of shame back to wherever they came from, back to their group of friends. We are in the driver's seat, whether it's about attraction, whether it's about and there are exceptions to the rule and definitely with the whole Me Too movement, but we are also in control of the sexual component if we want to sleep with somebody or have an intimacy with somebody. We can say no because there's almost no man who will refuse a woman who wants to be intimate with them. We are in control. And again, this is speaking from my studies, but it's also speaking to thousands of men asking them, how does it work? And they will be your friend. They will be happy to be your friend. But if you're willing and you want more, and there's any kind of attraction, they are going to go and they will cross that line with you.
I love that.
Think about that, ladies. We are in control more than we give ourselves credit for at times.
100%, and it reminds me of just the reframe. I think a lot of women are so concerned about being chosen. They want that man to say, yes, you're it. But we have to remember, we are also always a choice. So, right. Yes, flip that around.
100%. We want to be chosen, but so do they. They really do. And we do have certain roles and the role that most men instinctively, and now you're the psychotherapist, so you can challenge me on this one. I don't think you're going to. Men's primal instinct primal instinct, ladies, is to provide and protect.
That's
Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
Okay. So now I'm going to add on step 2 to this. For all of you ladies out there, and I know you're all strong, independent, confident, successful women in everything that you're doing, whether you're a stay-at-home mom and you're successful at that, or whether you're running a multi-million-dollar corporation, we are successful women. But when it comes to a male counterpart, if they are faced with, I don't need you, I am independent, I am successful, I can handle this all on my own, they don't know what to do with themselves. Because their primal instinct, just like ours, is actually to nurture, is to provide and protect. And you can be with super successful men and super independent men, but allowing them to provide and protect for you will be a very good asset.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes.
Well, the fact is that, again, I deal, in matchmaking, I deal with a lot of businessmen, international wheeler dealers, and they are so strong in their business world, and they do want an independent woman, and they do want a strong-minded woman. And and notice here, I'm not talking about anything financial here. I'm talking about your core being, who you are as a person. They want to provide you. They want to protect you. They want you happy. Happy wife, happy life, right? That's the saying. Let them do it. Because if you don't, then you're just another man figure in their life. They don't need that. They want a woman. And you want a man.
Yes. This is just a beautiful way for us to kind of wrap up this conversation, because it's been a great illustration of the times when, it's really going to be serving for a woman to step forward, take that initiative, claim what they're seeking, and also when to receive and let that man kind of step up and provide and protect. It's awesome.
Right. Well, I think the bottom line, and I'll leave everybody with this, is that, the yin and yang, we all have both sides to us. And we as women always talk about, men stepping up and being emotionally connected and being able to talk. Well, we have to be able to do the same. And finding the balance within them and within ourselves is how we find the balance in the communication of a relationship. And then the dance between us will be a lot simpler. So utilize your male and your female within yourself, and you will bring that out in the other person as well.
That is right. That is so good. Thank you, Cheryl. I know that you have a free gift to share with our audience. Could you please share a bit about what that is?
So I have my 4-step signature plan. It's called How to Make a Pact with Life. And it is a video that I will be sharing with all your listeners who subscribe, and they will get a copy of that video. And it's quite a simple and easy implementation into your everyday life to help you start achieving all your goals.
Beautiful. Well, I definitely encourage everyone to grab that. You can do so right where you are listening to this interview right now. Cheryl, I want to thank you again. Good.
Thank you so much. I so love being here with you. And don't forget, everybody, you can listen to Madeline's show on Pillow Talk with Cheryl, because we did a show together as well. So you can find that on CherylBesner.com or Pillow Talk with Cheryl.
Perfect.
Hear what Madeline had to say.
Yes. So for our listeners, your next set of interviews will be delivered to your inbox tomorrow. Keep an eye out for those. Remember, each interview is available for a full 7 days. I look forward to connecting with you all tomorrow. Until then, keep shining your love light. Bye for now.